Hi, this is Patrick Conroy, and I'm creating this video to sort of explain why we have some of the best practices we have for online learning, and sort of give you some of the theory behind some of the things that I'm suggesting. Like you, I'm a subject matter expert. I did not get a degree in education or teaching or things like that, but I picked up a lot along the way. And I did this whole thing on metacognition, which is a big fancy buzzword that's going around all the academic circles these days, and has many different aspects. One aspect is brain-based learning. So I'm going to throw out some terms that you might hear, in academia, and also sort of explain to you what really made the light bulb go off for me and change the way that I teach. So, brain-based learning. It all falls into what is known as the learning-centered theory. And that's a teaching method that focuses on the student's learning experience rather than the teacher delivering content. Instead of focusing on how you're delivering it, you have to consider the learning process that's going on inside the student. Because you can teach them, but the question is, did they learn it? That's what we really want. We want them to learn it. So not only do they know it for the test, but they know it for their next courses and when they go out in the world. So, brain-based learning refers to teaching methods, lesson designs, and school programs that are based on the latest scientific research about how the brain learns. Sometimes we think of this esoteric thing where learning just occurs. It's really a reaction in the brain. And once you start to think of it like that and how you can make that happen and reinforce that, it really will affect the way you teach. So I found this video, not very long. We'll watch part of it.
Every moment, our brains process incredible amounts of information, helping us learn and remember. But how does this remarkable organ turn everyday experiences into lasting memories? How does our brain learn? Let's start the fascinating journey. It all starts with sensory input. Every sight, sound, touch, taste, and smell is captured by our sensory organs and transformed into electrical signals. These signals are sent to the brain, where they first reach the thalamus, the brain's relay station. The thalamus filters these signals and sends them to the appropriate areas of the cortex for further processing. In the cortex, the brain interprets these signals. For instance, the visual cortex processes images, while the auditory cortex handles sounds. This stage is where perception happens, transforming raw data into meaningful information. This is how the brain begins the process of memory formation. The hippocampus plays a crucial role here. It acts like a conductor, linking various parts of the brain to create a new memory. It's where short-term memories are converted into long-term memories, a process known as consolidation. Once a memory is formed, it's stored in different parts of the cerebral cortex, the vast library of your brain. The connections between neurons, known as synapses, strengthen each time you recall or reinforce a memory, making it easier to retrieve later. To retrieve a memory, your brain reactivates the pattern of neurons involved in the initial experience. It's like retracing your steps in a familiar neighborhood. The more you visit, the easier it is to remember the way. And that's how the brain learns and remembers. From sensing to processing, from forming to recalling, each step is a testament to the incredible capabilities of our brain. Every day, every moment, your brain is shaping your experiences.
Okay. So the important thing is to note is that there are different types of sensory input, and it activates different parts of the brain. So reading activates one part, listening another, touch, smell, all of those will activate parts of the brain. And what we're working on are creating new connections between synapses. And learning happens when parts of the brain are stimulated and new neural pathways are formed. New neural pathways are tenuous, but can and will become stronger when reinforced. So the more ways you can present some information, and the more times it goes through someone's brain, the more likely they're to remember that. So that's the learning process. Just like, the first time you might go to a new grocery store, you might need to look at a map first, consult Google Maps, all sorts of things. And then you get there. And if you don't go there again for, a month, you might need to relearn that all again. But the more you go, the more the route becomes just second nature. And not only that, you will be able to know how to get to the grocery store from different places. You'll know the things around the grocery store. You'll use that as a point of reference to go to other locations. So, a side note to this is learning styles. Learning styles are the different ways people absorb, process, and retain information. And it's sort of related to those sensory inputs. Some people learn better visually. Some people are auditory learners. Some people, they need to touch and do something manual. And as instructors, we can use that, one, by creating more different ways to present the contact that appears to more learning styles. And also, even if it's not someone's learning style, it can help reinforce it for them as well, for others as well. So say someone, really does well with visual. So reading might not be the best way, but reading and watching the visual, that means it's reinforced again. So they're more likely to remember. The more ways you can present it, the more likely they are to remember it. There's, for learning bark, there's the bark model. It sounds like science fiction or something on Mork and Mindy. But the bark model identifies four main learning styles. Visual, learning best from images, demonstrations, and pictures. Auditory, learning best from listening to an explanation. When I was in school, I would get all sorts of study aids where I could listen to things after reading. And it really just helped my brain process it if I could hear it. Reading and writing, some people learn best through reading and writing. Because kinesthetic is learning best by acting out a process. That can be kind of hard in some of our business classes, but there's role playing, there's doing problems, there's creating files, all sorts of things. So, effective strategies you can utilize. Okay, the first is to understand the learner should be in a stress-free, distraction-free environment. There's not a whole lot we can do because they're at home. But we can make at least the Canvas site, as distraction-free as possible and as stress-free as possible. Make it a welcoming place. Turn off the distractions, turn off those unused navigation links. Focus them, put all of what they need to do at one time together, so they're not being distracted by having to go off and figure out where the next step is. Stimulate multiple parts of the brain. Use your repertoire. Go, the instructor sites have a lot of things like PowerPoints, lecture notes. So, and YouTube, I promise you, there's a YouTube video on every one of your learning outcomes. And there might even be one on the chapter of the textbook you're using. Repetition. So that you have them read it, you have them watch a video. Then reflective thinking. Reflective thinking is just the process of digesting everything. So you might present a summary, explaining it. I understood material much better after I taught it. And I think that's true for a lot of people. We really learn what we're teaching. And that's because we're having to explain it. And a whole process is going on inside of our brain, strengthening neural pathways when we're explaining it. So how do you do that in class? Well, you have them do discussion boards where they have to explain things, written assignments, all of those things, where they're explaining it. We tend to think of these as ways to figure out what they know, instead of thinking, hey, these tests, these exercises are helping them to learn it as well. It's not just us finding out what they know, it's that this is part of the learning process. And apply it. Case studies. Really good, accounting, y'all are constantly applying the things. Same with personal finance. For the rest of us, provide them with a case study. Go to the back of the chapter, there's usually some there. So students learn best if material is presented them in multiple formats, partly because they might have different learning styles, and repetition will mean stronger neural connections will form. And repetition is the key to learning. Just like you might not know the way to Walmart the first time you go, the more times you take that route, the easier it'll be. Incorporate reflective thinking and applying to their lessons. Have students explain things either in written assignments or discussion boards. Have them apply learning to facts, problems, or case studies. Incorporate role-playing exercises. McGraw-Hill, their Connect often has role-playing exercises in there. But you can also go to the end of the chapters and just look at the activities it has there and figure out how to implement those in an online environment. Remove distractions. We want them to focus on learning the material, not trying to figure out where to go next. Remove the unused navigation items and don't go overboard with fonts. The more you go overboard with fonts, the more likely you're going to run into ADA compliance rules, and it actually becomes distracting. Rather than your goal is to emphasize something, instead you're actually distracting them. Now, also, we want students to feel like they're in a safe space. The instructor can do a lot with that by making them feel that their campus site and their learning is safe. So you want to make the students as comfortable as possible contacting you for help. So I'm going to put together a whole nother workshop on connecting with your students and some different strategies and tips that I've learned along the way. I go into it now, but I want to keep these videos each short because we all know our attention spans. We're like our students. We don't have the longest attention spans. So I'll stop this here and see you in another video.